This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Radicals in the Republican Party is nothing new. The romanticization of radicals. Listen, I talk about it a lot because it informs how I believe now based on how I used to think. I used to be a radical Republican. I was raised that way. I was raised in a Christian nationalist household in northern Idaho. And when like Ruby Ridge took place or Waco took place in the 90s, I was of the belief that this was the evil government and these people were patriots pushing back against the overreach of the United States government. Tyranny, liberty, all these buzzwords. Even though, especially the Ruby Ridge thing, was a white supremacist. Certainly there were some missteps by the federal government, the FBI, the ATF, but it was mistakes. It was not some tyrannical boot on the neck of your ordinary citizen. The same thing is happening right now. We are witnessing once again a rise in extremism, white nationalism, white separatists. We witnessed it on January 6th. And the disparate satellite of organizations that are propping themselves up to try to usurp democracy, to reinstall their favorite autocrat, Donald Trump. And I'm going to read from this Politico article some new text messages from a cooperator, an oath keeper, are really showing the intertangled web, just how far spread and deep spread the tentacles of these radicals are within Congress and other supporters of Donald Trump. This headline, text message trove shows oath keepers discussing security details for Trump associates. Roger Stone and Michael Flynn were among them. It goes deeper than that. Ronnie Jackson, there are text messages that show them coordinating with one another, these groups, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. Remember Donald Trump? Stand back, stand by. Top members of the Oath Keepers now facing seditious conspiracy charges chatted for days about providing security for some of the highest profile figures associated with Donald Trump's effort to overturn the election, according to a newly released trove of text messages. Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes and top allies like Florida Oath Keeper Kelly Meggs discussed plans to provide security for figures like Roger Stone, Alex Jones, Ali Alexander, and Michael Flynn on January 5th and January 6th, describing potential partnerships with other groups and security details. You see, to have a conspiracy, you need two people, at the very least. That's why the term unindicted co-conspirator is kind of stupid, because you can't conspire with yourself. Conspiracy, just based on the nature of the word, implies at least two people. And we're finding out now that there was a conspiracy with the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and the 3%ers all gathering together in an attempt to overthrow the United States government, reinserting Donald Trump. While several members of the group now facing charges notably flanked Stone on January 5th, including Joshua James, who has since pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy, the extent of the Oath Keepers' work for other figures has been murky. For example, Ali Alexander indicated in a recent statement that the Oath Keepers never ended up providing security for him because his own January 6th event was canceled amid the chaos on the Capitol grounds. But the group's conversations reveal an easy relationship. One more time, for those of you in the back, one more time for the hate watchers who deny this conspiracy, but the group's conversations reveal, the public now text messages reveal, an easy relationship among several of the groups and entities now under scrutiny by federal prosecutors and the January 6th Select Committee. In one exchange, Meggs, identified by his handle Gator1, indicates he attempted to call Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, after hearing reports he had been arrested on January 4th, 2021. Quote, "I just called him, no answer," Meggs told fellow Oath Keepers, "but he will call if he's out." The text messages were posted Monday by Ed Vallejo, one of the 11 Oath Keepers facing seditious conspiracy charges for his role in the alleged plot. Vallejo was stationed at a Comfort Inn in Arlington, Virginia, where prosecutors say he oversaw the group's cache of weapons and was prepared to drive to the Capitol if the fighting grew more intense. Vallejo is seeking release from pretrial detention, which would indicate why he is making public these details. He, one of the conspirators, the alleged conspirators, is the one who released these messages. This isn't some fabrication. This is from the individual who was involved. In the newly released cache of messages, Oath Keepers discussed the possibility of joining Flynn's security detail, Michael Flynn. Rhodes noted that he had previously worked with First Amendment Praetorian, a group linked to Flynn, to protect Flynn, as well as with a group assigned to protect pro-Trump broadcaster Alex Jones, who has described relying on a group of retired police officers for his protection on January 6th. Do we need more evidence that not all cops are great? That there is a radical element of extremism that runs through policing. Quote, "We may also end up assisting the PSD, which is Personal Security Detail, for those of you who don't know, the personal security detail for Alex Jones again, which was a great feather in our cap," Rhodes said. "We work superbly with both," I'm assuming that's a typo on the part of the text message. "We worked superbly with both Alex Jones' security team, who are awesome guys, and with Praetorian Guard, also awesome veterans, led by SF, I'm assuming that means Special Forces, and SEAL veterans. They love working with us because our legit, quiet, professional demeanor and skill sets." You see, these cosplayers, they fancy themselves vigilantes. They fancy themselves tough guys, beyond weekend warriors. They're preppers, and they're survivalists, and they're badasses. They're seditious conspiracists. Meggs also described a familiarity with Stone, Roger Stone, that has previously emerged in other court filings. When one Oath Keeper indicated that he wanted to shake Stone's hand, Meggs said he could help arrange it. Quote, "Been to his house a few times," Meggs noted. You see, these people, the Roger Stones of the world and the Alex Joneses of the world, the Michael Flynns of the world, they traffic with these particular radicals. The Republican Party is now the party of the Oath Keepers. The Republican Party is the party of the Proud Boys. Their president, Donald Trump, invoked their name, telling them to stand back and stand by, which they ultimately did on January 6th. A number of Proud Boys have seen arrest and conviction, or facing conviction for their actions on January 6th. They're taking part in the insurrection against the United States government, against you. Their attempt to disenfranchise you if you voted for Joe Biden, because that wasn't their guy. It wasn't a protest. It wasn't expressing their displeasure with the results of the election. It was an attempt to overturn those results. The Oath Keepers also exchanged messages that referenced members of Congress. Rhodes, in particular, asked an associate for the cell phone number of Representative Ronnie Jackson, Republican of Texas, who was described by members on the text chain as being in need of security during the attack on the Capitol. Jackson was the White House physician before he was elected to Congress in 2020. You'll remember Ronnie Jackson, the guy who got in trouble. There was all the talk about his illegal prescriptions of sleeping medication on Air Force One. He was a walking, talking, jiving pharmacy. Quote, Dr. Ronnie Jackson on the move needs protection if anyone inside cover him. He has critical data to protect, one unidentified person wrote. Help with what? Rhodes replied. Give him my cell. A spokesperson for Jackson didn't immediately respond for a request for comment, because of course they didn't. This is describing, by my estimation and my understanding of the text here, is that during the insurrection, he wanted to be kept safe inside the building. So if there was any errant oath keepers in there, they would be attached to him. They would find him in the building and provide security from the mob. The errant mob who might not know who he is and how important to the movement he was. One more paragraph. In a January 3rd exchange, Meggs mentioned that unidentified allies mentioned the Oath Keepers on the call with Congressmen and wanted to say thank you all for providing and protecting us. Because on the day of the January 6th insurrection, they weren't looking to Capitol Police or Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police for protection. They were attacking them. They wanted these weekend warrior clowns who cosplay as special forces. They wanted their security. They wanted their individuals to flank them in a personal security role, not police. The Blue Lives Matter crowd was too busy bashing the Blue Lives and relying upon insurrectionists for protection, relying upon anti-democratic nuts for protection. This is mainstream republicanism. This isn't a handful, just a few bad apples. This is the mainstream of the Republican Party. And listen, if you're a Republican, this should bother you. For all the talk about law and order, for all the talk about democracy, for all the talk about upholding the principles of our Constitution, and then this is what you're seeing. Should bother you. What do you think? I would love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can also email me daily@dollemore.com. Thank you for your time and your attention. If I bring you some value, please consider supporting and producing what I do here. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast and help support my work there. I love you guys. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter, at Dollemore on Instagram, and at Dollemore on TikTok. I'd love to see you there. Anyway, I love you. I appreciate you. I will see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.